Today's video is in three parts. We have vision, we have direction, and then we have discipline. Let's talk about clarifying your vision, right? Ultimately, we're trying to figure out what to do with our life. But the problem is that question, how do I figure out what to do with my life, is so ambiguous. So I think a better way to put it, because life is ultimately just time. I've said a lot of ultimately's, but accept it like that. Life is basically time. So instead of saying, what do I do with my life, or how do I figure out what to do with my life, let's translate that to how do I figure out what to do with my time. Now, the key word here is want. W-A-N-T. What do I want for myself? What do I want to do with my time? The reason why a lot of us cannot clarify our vision is because we have already trained ourselves to stop wanting, to stop desiring. This might be because, you grew up in situations that told you that you couldn't have anything, so you should just collect whatever you're given in life and be okay with it. It might be due to trauma. It might be due to loss or lack. For whatever reason, some of us have subconsciously programmed ourselves not to want. And that is why it's hard for us to have a vision for our life, because having a vision for your life will require you to want, to desire, to be able to lay claim to the things that you want and desire. So a technique that I find very powerful for you to be able to access your wants and your desires is to write out the reverse. What do I not want for myself? What do I not want to do with my time? What do I not want to spend my life doing, right? If you're able to write out these things, then you can flip it. If you say, I do not want to be unhappy, that means on the flip side, you want to be happy. I do not want to be broke. On the flip side, you want to be rich. I do not want to do a job that I hate. On the flip side, you want to do a job that you want or that you love, right? The second technique that I would offer if you're trying to get in touch with your wants and your desire is what I call the lifetime bucket list. The lifetime bucket list basically contains a bunch of things that you want to do in your lifetime, just random things. If you had to write a bucket list for your life, what would be on that bucket list? But we have to divide it in three parts. We're going to divide it into random things I'd like to do, random things I'd like to have, and the kind of person I'd like to be. Does that make sense? So on your random things you like to do, I'd like to travel to Paris before I die. Or on the side of what do you want to have, you might have this desire to own a G-Wagon, like my dearest self, my dear humble self, right? Color white specifically. Anyway, you might have a desire to own a house by the lake. You might have a desire to own, I don't know what you want. You tell me what you want. Random things you want to own before you die. And on the final side, which is the kind of person you want to be, that place is going to have more, it's going to focus more, a lot more on feeling, right? The kind of person you want to be. Maybe you want to be a mother, right? Or maybe you want to be a very kind person who is known for using her voice to help somebody, just details on the feel. You know how they say, like, people don't remember what you do, they remember how you made them feel. How do you want to make people feel? That's the kind of person you want to be. You want to be somebody who is a social butterfly, or you want to be somebody that's sort of a recluse. You want to be somebody who is known for her writing. You want to be somebody, whatever you want. Just write it on that side. So now you have created your bucket list basically for your life, right? Which now takes us to the final step. This one is more precise. So the last technique is the 80-10-5 technique, right? So basically, you're going to write the kind of life you want to live, or you want to have lived by the time you're 80 years old. I know this took me days. The first time I tried this exercise, it took me days before I was finally able to answer it, because it was so hard for me to even imagine myself at 80 years old. But you're going to try to write what kind of life you're going to have lived by the time you're 80, the things you would have achieved, or the random things you would have done, maybe the places you would have visited, based on, of course, using your bucket list and your reverse technique answers as your guideline, right? So the first thing you're going to do when you're trying to write this is, at 80 years old, you're going to write a theme. So maybe just like a single word or a single phrase or a single sentence that describes the kind of person you are at 80. You might write, at 80, I am a Marvel, or at 80, I am a legacy. So remember, it's 80-10-5. The first thing is the 80 years old. Now we want to move on to 10 years from now, a decade from whatever time it is you're creating this vision. What do you imagine you would have done within a decade? Of course, you begin again with the I am a something. Maybe you are a rising star, you are a I don't know what you are. You tell me what you are. You write that first, and then you write a bunch of things you want to have done in a decade. And then finally, you're going to do the 5 years of it. So, half a decade from now, what do you imagine you would have done? What do you hope you would do? What is it that you want to have created or achieved or whatever? Write that also. Beginning with your I am a sentence, I am a something. Focus. Because everything that you write right now, or whenever you decide to do these exercises, they are just like drafts, right? You can revise your vision anytime. You might be able to achieve one thing on the list and you realize, oh, okay, so I actually want to do this as well. The more you expose yourself to getting what you want, or the more you allow yourself to actually want, the more these wants and desires will come to the surface for you, and you could add it to your bucket list, you could add it to your life vision as you see fit. If you do all these three techniques, you would have created a vision for yourself. And now we can move to the second part, which is direction. Direction requires you to set goals. It's the same thing basically. You want to know, what can I work towards right now? What shall I have to do right now to move closer to the vision that I have for myself? Now, to gain your direction, we're going to have to go back to the half a decade parts that we just wrote. You remember your half a decade vision that you just wrote? You're going to go back there and you're going to pick your top two goals, or maybe your top goal. If the goals that you have like really heavy goals, just pick one that is super heavy and like the most heavy, the heaviest of them all. That's the one you're going to pick. And then you're going to break it down. If I'm going to achieve this in 5 years, what would I have to do each year? Like, what would I have to do year one, year two, year three, year four, until year five when I eventually achieve it? And remember, if you're picking your top two goals, you're doing this for both goals. Break down your 5 years for goal one, break down your 5 years for goal two. Whatever we have on year one, that is our direction. Whatever it is, whatever milestone you have to attain, at least the first year, that is what you're going to have to work towards. And now you're going to pick that year one because we're clear now on what one thing I have to achieve in the next 12 months. Because 1 year is 12 months, right? You're going to pick that one and then you're going to break it down again. We're going to say, so if I have to achieve this in 12 months, it means that in 6 months I must have done this. Now we have 1 year goal, 6 months goals, or 6 months goal, and then we'll not take it down back again and say, okay, if I have to have done this in 6 months, it means that this month or in the next 1 month, I have to have done this. Let's say for year one, you have to be making like 500K monthly. So you know that in the next 6 months, you most likely would have to have a job at the very least, at the bare minimum, right? And then you now go back to the first month. Maybe in the first month, you have to decide what kind of job you want to get, and you have to create your CV and start applying. Do you understand? Just like that, you have direction. You have something to work towards. And as you work towards this, you get yourself closer to the actual vision, which potentially, because I'm using money, that's my dog sneezing, which potentially, because I'm using money to describe, would probably be like maybe financial freedom, just for example, right? And now that we've clarified both the vision and direction, the last part is discipline. This part I'm not going to go into much details. You have to become disciplined and actually start creating whatever it is you say you want to create, right? Your 1 year starts counting now. Don't wait for maybe next year. Maybe you're watching this video in November, you not say, oh, let me just start next year. Maybe there's just 1 month in between. No, you have to start exactly right now, this very moment. Let the goal start counting. Start counting from now. The second thing that I would suggest, if you want to become a little bit more disciplined or a lot more disciplined, is to create like visual aids for yourself. I personally attest to this. So maybe you paste your goal, maybe like your goal list, the list of things you want to achieve. You paste it somewhere in your room, or maybe you create, like me, I love checklists. I love to create this checkbox where every time that I complete a task, I'll check and check and check. Maybe I have like my weekly tasks, or maybe I have to complete certain steps before I finally reach my final goal. I'll create a checklist and I'll check, 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 check. I don't know, something about checking everything off the list is so exciting. It makes me feel very confident. So I highly recommend that you do that as well. Create a checklist and paste it somewhere in your room so you have this focus on, oh, I have to check that list today. I have to check that list tomorrow. I have to check that list this week. Science also proves that, like, if you get to view your goals and your visions at least once or twice a week, there's a huge likelihood that you're going to achieve those goals and visions. Visualization is the major tip I have for discipline. If you want to become more disciplined, you have to be able to create visual aids for yourself that helps you to stay on track. Do you copy? All right, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Oluwatimilara Chantin. I'm a life coach and inspirational teacher. If you want to book a session with me, the link is in the description box. If you have any question or you want me to make a video about something particularly, just put it in the comment section and I promise that I will get to it. And until next time, I wish you love, light, and laughter. Peace.